The June 11th, 2026 meeting of the New York City Campaign Finance Board. The first item on our agenda is the approval of the minutes from our May 14th meeting. I move their approval. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Next item on our agenda are further remarks from me. So in today's meeting, the board will be voting to ratify a public funds payment for the 2026 Council District 3 primary election, as well as voting on enforcement matters relating to 4 candidate committees from the 2021 election cycle and 1 candidate committee from the 2023 election cycle. This time, I'd also like to introduce a new member of the board, Jeffrey Weiss, who is appointed by City Council Speaker Julie Menon. We are excited to welcome Jeff to the board. And at the same time, we are like to say farewell to Richard Davis, who offered his resignation after serving on the board for 17 years, which I believe is a record. We want to thank Rich for his dedication to the board and our work strengthening local elections. And more generally, I'd like to thank Rich for a really lifetime of public service in many very important and significant roles. I'll now turn it over to our Executive Director, Paul Ryan, for his opening remarks.
Thank you, Chair Schaefer. Good morning, everyone. I want to reiterate the Chair's welcome to Mr. Weiss and also the Chair's thanks to Mr. Davis for many years of dedicated service to this agency and to the people of New York City. The 2026 primary election for state offices and for some voters, U.S. House of Representatives and Council District 3 is coming up on June 23rd. For Council District 3 primary candidates, disclosure statement 3 is due tomorrow, June 12th. This is the 11-day pre-election filing due for candidates who are on the ballot ahead of the June 18th scheduled public funds payment. Daily pre-election disclosure for the primary election began this past Tuesday and goes through Election Day, which is June 23rd. June 13th, this Saturday, is both voter registration deadline and the first day of early voting. June 13th is also the deadline to request a mail ballot for the June primary online or by mail. Early voting runs from June 13th, this Saturday, through Sunday, June 21st. There's no in-person voting on Monday, June 22nd, but the polls will be open from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. on Election Day, Tuesday, June 23rd. Tuesday, June 23rd is also the deadline to have a mail ballot postmarked. The Campaign Finance Board's NYC Votes initiative is out in the field, connecting with voters and working with nonpartisan community-based partner organizations to make sure New Yorkers are registered to vote and have a plan to vote. So if you see our staff out in the field in our new NYC Votes t-shirts the next few weeks, make sure to say hi and be sure yourself to get out and vote in the coming weeks. That's all I've got this morning, Chair Schaefer.
Thank you. The next item on agenda is the ratification of a public funds payment that I used my delegated authority to approve in connection with the 2026 Council District 3 primary. I had approved the payment of $114,357 to candidate Carl Wilson. I'll ask our member Greg Camp to make a motion to ratify that payment decision.
I move a ratification of the chair's decision to make that payment.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? The motion carries. We have a number of enforcement matters on our agenda today, but only one appearance. So I'll ask Luis Tejada or his representative to line up and have a seat over here. And our staff will take a seat at the table to my left. And as they're taking their seat, Mr. Tejada, I'm going to just briefly describe our procedure. So I'm going to ask our staff to just explain what the issue is. It's not really an argument. They're just going to explain why we're here, what the issue is. I'm then going to give you time to any statement or argument that you'd like to make. There may be some questions from the board, or there may be some responses from the staff. We'll go back and forth until everybody has said what they need to say. And then the board will go and deliberate on your matter and on other matters for which there's no appearance today. And then we'll come back in a little while and announce our decision.
Thank you. Thank you. So you too. Glad to see you again since 2013 that I saw you.
Yes, yes. So please, why don't you proceed?
Good morning, Chair Schaefer, members of the board, Executive Director Ryan, and Mr. Luis Tejada. I am Alyssa Sanders, an attorney for the CFB, and with me is Marvo Lindsay, a CFB auditor. Before the board is the matter of the Tejada campaign in the 2021 election for City Council District 7. Luis Tejada was a participant in the program and did receive public funds. CFB staff recommends that the board find that the campaign committed the following violations. 1, exceeding the expenditure limit, and 2, failing to respond to the initial documentation request or the IDR. The campaign contests these recommended violations.
Okay, so that's why we're here. Mr. Tejada, you have the floor.
Right. Thank you so much for the time to appear in person. I'm come from the from the old school, so I prefer to be in person instead to have it online because I see people, face to face. So I have this statement. I not much to say. It's gonna take not too much time. I don't know if you can
Would you like to read it or submit it? It's up to you.
to submit it, but I want to read. But I can read it. Huh?
Okay, so Jesse, why don't you distribute and while or after he does that, if you'd like to sort of make an oral statement as well, we're a little short, but I don't know.
There's one missing.
One back to,
Yeah.
here. Yeah, it's one himself, I think.
I have my phone. So. Okay. You can't read it for the fact.
Mr. Tejada, may I just ask you to speak up?
Yeah, it's
Keep your voice up.
my problem. That's I don't. My voice is always dark. It's I hear too much. So I'm going straight to the three paragraph before the end of this statement. Is the Campaign Finance Board existed to encourage public participation in democracy and to promote transparency and fairness. I have participated in that system because I believe in those principles. Throughout my career, I have thought to serve my community and advocate for residents who often lack at the voice of government in government. I would deeply unfortunate if this honest misunderstanding of complicated regulatory provisions results in penalty that is punitive rather than corrective. I respectfully ask the board to consider the following mitigating factors: my good faith misunderstanding of the expenditures and attribution rules, the absence of my intent to violate the law or gain an unfair advantage, my cooperation with the audit process once the issue were identified, the corrections and amendments submitted by the campaign, the resolution of other audit findings through our response, the absence of fraud, concealment, or personal enrichment, and my long history of civic and community service. For that reason, I respectfully request this board exercise discretion to resolve this matter without imposing monetary penalty. If the board concludes that some sanction is necessary, I ask to impose the minimum penalty, and I believe appropriate under the circumstances, recognizing that those violations result from good faith misinterpretation rather than intention misconduct. And I go back to the first paragraph that I say, I come back to the board respectfully and not in a good faith. I accept responsibility for the fact that my campaign did and fully comply with the Campaign Financial Board requirements. I am not here to deny mistakes or shift blame. Rather, I respectfully to ask the board to consider the circumstances under which those mistakes occur and to resolve this matter without the imposition of monetary penalty or alternatively with a substantial reduction. So the rest you can read it. I don't want to take too much time. So really appreciate it that you're trying to get my concern.
So, Mr. Tejada, in our deliberations, we will take into account the mitigating factors that you have outlined. I can't tell you what the result will be because we have to discuss it and vote on it. But I want to point out to you that an over the limit, when spending is over the limit, it's a particularly serious matter because even though it was not your intent to obtain an unfair advantage, the reality is that when somebody spends over the limit, they do get an unfair advantage, even if it was entirely unintentional. And so this is why, under our rules, that we view this as a particularly serious matter. But having said that, we also have some discretion with respect to the amount of the penalty, and we'll talk about that among ourselves when we deliberate. But I wanted you and any of the public who might be watching this to understand that this is, from the board's point of view, a particularly important regulation and therefore a particularly serious violation. Counsel, did you have anything you wanted to add?
No, I just wanted to say that we've been, working and corresponding. I want to corroborate that we have been in communication, which I appreciate. And I do agree that exceeding the expenditure limit is a really, at this stage, a really important violation. So I appreciate the mitigating factors and I trust the board to take those into consideration along with the public interest.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I have a question. Sir, you mentioned in your submission that the delay in responding to the IDR was due to unforeseen and significant personal circumstances?
Yeah. So in that time, my mom passed away. So I went to DR, Santo Domingo. She was 96 years old. So, and I took time to do everything, after that, some related, mother, your father died. So the heritage, so many properties, things like that. So then after that, I started a PhD philosophy in Spain. So I traveled to Spain and I back and forth from here to New York City, from here to Spain. So almost done. This year's going to graduate from my PhD in philosophy. So that's personal issue. So affect my time to be in the city. But I was confident with the treasurer to do that, but she didn't do that. So that was a personal. So that's why I apologize, for you guys, because you're doing a great job in order to save the money and public money. Because I know so many people, they try to take an advantage of the public money to take an advantage of another candidates. So that's what the issue that affected me at that time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. If there are no further questions, the board will go into deliberations now, and we'll be back in a little while. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
Okay, well, the board is deliberated and I'm going to present a motion that deals with all of these enforcement matters as they appear on a chart that we have. I want to say at the outset that with respect to one of these enforcement matters, candidate Kenichi Wilson, a 2021 candidate for city council, our member, Mohammed Khan, is recusing himself from voting on that. So while Mohammed will vote on the package that I present, his vote doesn't apply to the Wilson matter. Need to wait for Mohammed. Oh, is he? I was looking over there and okay, we can't see that. Okay, good. So I'm going to take these in the order that they appear on our chart. First, candidate Diana Ayala, a 2021 candidate for city council. The board, I propose as a motion that the board require a public funds repayment of $7,875. Next, Casey Nabaraj, a 2021 candidate for city council. The motion proposes finding of a violation of exceeding the expenditure limit with a penalty of $2,493. Next, Luis Tejada, a 2021 candidate for city council. The board proposes to find the following violations and impose the following penalties. 1, exceeding the expenditure limit, $20,957. 2, failing to respond to the IDR, $3,985 for a total penalty of $24,942. Next, Kenichi Wilson, a 2021 candidate for city council. The board proposes a public funds repayment of $73,817. And finally, Kristen Jordan, a 2023 candidate for city council. The board proposes to find the following violations and impose the following penalties. 1, accepting contributions from limited liability companies, $1,250. 2, failing to respond to the IDR, $1,000 for total penalties of $2,250. So that is the motion that I make. Is there a second?
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Abstentions? Opposed? Abstentions? That motion carries. So I think we are now finished with our agenda for the public hearing. I will make a motion to go into executive session. And since we are going to be discussing matters in executive session that do not require any vote, we will adjourn directly from executive session. That's the motion. Is there a second?
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you all very much. We're done for